Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
The collected writings known as the Mozi represent a monument of systematic philosophical argument from China's Warring States period, articulating a worldview of remarkable coherence and profound social purpose. This intellectual edifice, attributed to Mozi and his disciples, constructs a comprehensive ethical, political, and metaphysical system aimed squarely at achieving a singular goal, the total benefit of all under heaven. The work proffers a radical reimagining of social order, grounded in a starkly pragmatic and consequentialist logic. This essay undertakes a rigorous evaluation of the internal claims presented within the Mozi's core chapters. The analysis will proceed section by section, examining the text's central arguments, its unique evidentiary standards, its proposed mechanisms for societal engineering, and the logical architecture that binds these elements into a compelling, if austere, philosophical whole. The focus remains exclusively on the internal coherence and persuasive power of the claims as they are developed within the text itself, probing the foundations upon which this ancient vision of a perfected world was built. Section 1. The epistemological framework and criteria for truth. The most philosophical project commences with the establishment of a clear epistemological foundation, a set of criteria for judging the validity of any doctrine or statement. These criteria, the three standards or models, are presented as the essential tools for distinguishing beneficial speech from harmful sophistry. The first standard is historical precedent, rooting a claim in the practices of the ancient sage-kings. The internal argument here posits that the sagacity of these founding rulers, like Yao, Shan, and Yu, provides an empirical benchmark for sound governance and moral principles. The evaluation of this claim reveals its powerful rhetorical function. It co-opts the revered figures of the cultural tradition to legitimize a new system of thought. The text's application of this standard is selective, highlighting specific actions of the sages that align with most principles while omitting those that would complicate the argument. The second standard is empirical verification, grounded in what the common people see and hear. This criterion injects a powerful element of populism and common sense into the Mozi method. A claim's truth is tied to its observability in the world. The argument holds that valid principles must correspond to the lived reality of the populace. This standard is particularly effective in arguments against abstract ritual or fatalism, as it constantly returns the debate to tangible phenomena. The third and ultimate standard is applicability and benefit. A doctrine's worth is measured by its consequences when put into practice, specifically whether it enriches the poor, increases the population, brings order to the state, and pleases heaven and the spirits. This consequentialist and utilitarian calculus is the engine of the entire Mozi system. Every subsequent argument within the Mozi is designed to demonstrate how its proposals satisfy this final, decisive test. The internal logic is powerful. A principle that demonstrably leads to universal benefit is, by definition, true and righteous. The framework itself is a masterpiece of argumentation, designed to corner any opponent on grounds of practicality, historical legitimacy, or observable fact. Section 2. The axiomatic principle of impartial caring. From its epistemological base, the Mozi develops its central ethical axiom Jian AI, or impartial caring. The chapters dedicated to this concept argue that the root of all chaos in the world is partiality. The text claims that theft, usurpation, and warfare arise because individuals and states prioritize their own family, clan, or domain over others. The proposed solution is a direct inversion of this impulse. Impartial caring requires one to care for the families of others as one cares for one's own, for the states of others as one cares for one's own. The internal mechanism for this argument is diagnostic and prescriptive. The text presents a litany of social ills and traces them all back to a single psychological and social cause. The logic is that a universal cause requires a universal remedy. The Mozi evaluates the claim of impartial caring using its own three standards. It appeals to ancient sages, who governed with impartiality. It asks the reader to observe the manifest harms of partiality in the world, and most forcefully, it argues that the practice of impartial caring produces the greatest benefit for all. An interesting sub-argument claims that this principle is not an unnatural imposition but the very will of heaven, which nourishes and sustains all people without discrimination. By this reasoning, to practice impartial caring is to align oneself with the cosmic order. The work addresses the perceived difficulty of this doctrine by framing it as a matter of calculated benefit. A person who cares for others will, in turn, be cared for. A state that aids others will, in turn, be aided. The principle is thus presented as the most rational form of enlightened self-interest, expanded to a universal scale. The argument's force lies in its elegant simplicity and its relentless appeal to consequentialist outcomes. Section 3. The political architecture of merit and conformity to implement this ethical vision. The Mozi proffers a detailed political architecture centered on two interlocking principles: Shang's iron, honoring the worthy, and Shang Tong, conforming upward. The chapters on honoring the worthy present a powerful argument for a pure meritocracy. The central claim is that effective governance depends entirely on placing competent and virtuous individuals in positions of power, irrespective of their birth or social connections. The text argues that the state's resources are wasted and its people suffer when leadership is entrusted to the unqualified sons of aristocrats, a mechanism proposed as an active search by the ruler for the most capable individuals in society, from farmers and artisans to merchants, promoting them to office, and providing them with the salary and authority to govern effectively. This argument directly challenges the hereditary basis of power prevalent in the Zhou dynasty. The evaluation of this claim shows it to be a pragmatic strategy for maximizing state efficiency. The evidence provided is again a mix of appeals to the sage things who elevated commoners and a utilitarian calculation of the benefits of competent administration. The complementary principle of conforming upward provides the mechanism for social and ideological unity. The Mozi claims that in a state of nature, people possess different standards of righteousness, leading to conflict. The solution is the establishment of a political hierarchy, from the village elder up to the Son of Heaven, with each level conforming its judgment of right and wrong to the level above. The Son of Heaven, in turn, conforms his standard to the will of heaven. This creates a single, unified standard of righteousness throughout the realm, ensuring order and eliminating strife. The internal logic suggests that social harmony is an engineered product, achievable only through a disciplined, top-down consolidation of moral judgment. This presents a fascinating tension within the political theory. A state built on the merit of diverse individuals is held together by absolute ideological conformity. The system is designed for maximum stability, where the upward flow of talent is matched by a downward flow of orthodoxy. Section 4. The utilitarian critique of cultural and ritual expenditure. The Mohist system extends its utilitarian calculus into the realm of culture and ritual, most notably in the chapters condemning music, fei yu, and advocating moderation in funerals, jaizang, and expenditures, jai-yom. The central claim of these sections is that any activity which consumes resources without contributing to the fundamental welfare of the people is detrimental to the state. The argument against elaborate musical performances is particularly stark. The text meticulously inventories the costs associated with grand orchestras, the high-grade wood for instruments, the skilled labour of artisans, the time of the musicians and dancers, and the tax burden on the common people to support it all. It then evaluates these costs against the benefits. The Mozi's claim is that music provides no tangible good. It neither feeds the hungry, clothes the cold, nor secures the state. The work contends that the time and resources spent on such aesthetic pursuits are a direct diversion from productive activities like farming and weaving. A similar logic is applied to extravagant funerals and mourning periods. The text argues that burying the dead with immense wealth and imposing long, debilitating periods of mourning that disrupt work weakens the state and impoverishes the family. The proposed solution is a standardized, simple burial that respects the dead without draining the resources of the living. These arguments are built on a rigorous, almost quantitative, assessment of state capacity. The internal claim is that a ruler's primary duty is to manage a finite pool of resource labour, time, and materials for the maximum benefit of the population's material security. The evaluation of this stance reveals the austere and uncompromising nature of most pragmatism. It subordinates aesthetic and traditional ritual values entirely to the imperative of social welfare. The rhetorical strategy involves portraying the proponents of such arts and rituals as being indifferent to the suffering of the common people, making the Moist position appear as the only one truly aligned with the interests of the masses. Section 5 Metaphysical sanctions for a moral universe to buttress its ethical and political system. The Mozi articulates a specific metaphysical vision that provides supernatural sanctions for moral behaviour. This is most clearly developed in the chapters on Heaven's Will, Chan Shai, and Understanding Ghosts, Mingui, alongside the refutation of fatalism. Faming. The text's primary claim is that heaven is an active, omniscient, and moral agent that possesses a clear will. Heaven's will is universal love and mutual benefit among humankind. It rewards those who conform to its will with prosperity and stability, and punishes those who defy it with calamities, disease, and disaster. This argument transforms the Mohist ethical system from a mere human convention into a cosmic imperative. The ruler who practices impartial caring and honors the worthy is not simply making a wise policy choice, he is aligning his state with the fundamental order of the universe. Complementing the will of heaven is the agency of ghosts and spirits. The Mozi claims unequivocally that the spirits of mountains, rivers, and ancestors exist, and that they actively observe human behaviour. They are presented as a kind of supernatural surveillance system, capable of rewarding the good and punishing the wicked at a local and personal level. The text attempts to prove their existence. By using its own epistemological standards, it cites historical accounts of their appearance, refers to things seen and heard by the people, and argues that belief in them produces good social order. The argument against fatalism is the necessary corollary. The Mozi contends that the belief that one's wealth, lifespan, and social position are predetermined by an impersonal fate is a pernicious doctrine. It paralyzes human agency, discourages hard work, and provides a ready excuse for injustice and misrule. The claim is that human effort, aligned with the moral will of heaven, is the true determinant of outcomes. This triad of beliefs on moral heaven, watchful spirits, and human agency creates a powerful motivational framework. It ensures that morality is enforced by powers far beyond the reach of human courts, making righteousness a matter of cosmic and personal survival. Section 6 The condemnation of offensive warfare. The Mohist commitment to universal benefit finds its most dramatic expression in the chapters on condemning offensive warfare. Fei Gong. The text makes a careful and crucial distinction between offensive, gong, and punitive, shu, military actions. It is the former, wars of aggression and conquest, that are the subject of its absolute condemnation. The core claim is that offensive warfare represents the greatest possible harm and the most profound violation of the principle of benefit. The argument is methodically constructed on several levels. First, it applies the utilitarian calculus with devastating effect. The text details the immense costs of a military campaign, the loss of life among soldiers, the disruption of agriculture leading to famine, the destruction of property and infrastructure, the expenditure on weapons and equipment, and the risk of spiritual displeasure. It argues that these harms afflict both the aggressor and the defender, resulting in a net loss for all of humanity. Second, it scales up the logic used to condemn individual crime. The text points out the hypocrisy of a world that executes a man for stealing a pig while glorifying a king for conquering a state. It argues that aggression is simply theft and murder on a grand scale, and if the lesser act is unrighteous, the greater one is exponentially more so. Third, it subjects warfare to the three standards. It fails the test of historical precedent, as the Seiqings only engaged in punitive expeditions. It fails the test of empirical observation, as everyone can see the devastation war brings. It fails the test of application, as it consistently produces poverty, depopulation and chaos. The claim is that launching an offensive war is the single most irrational and immoral act a ruler can undertake, a direct assault on the well-being of his own people, his neighbours, and the cosmic order decreed by heaven. This doctrine solidifies the image of Moism as a philosophy deeply committed to a tangible and universal peace. Conclusion: the Mozi, when evaluated on its own terms, presents one of the ancient world's most systematic and logically integrated philosophical systems. Its power derives from the relentless and consistent application of its core principles across every domain of human experience, from individual ethics to statecraft and metaphysics. The work's central claims are built upon a foundation of pragmatic, consequentialist reasoning, where the ultimate measure of any idea or action is its contribution to the collective benefit of society. The epistemological framework of the three standards provides a robust, if self-serving, method for validating its own conclusions. The progression from the axiom of impartial caring to the detailed architecture for a meritocratic and unified state, and onward to the utilitarian critique of cultural waste, demonstrates a remarkable intellectual discipline. The system is sealed with metaphysical sanctions, transforming a rational program for social reform into a divinely mandated order. The internal arguments are persuasive because they are designed to be so, consistently appealing to common sense, historical reverence, and a powerful calculus of profit and loss. The enduring significance of the Mozi lies in this monumental attempt to construct a society based on pure reason and universal benevolence. It remains a testament to the idea that the world's chaos is a soluble problem, and that a rigorously applied ethical and political logic can engineer a future of peace and prosperity for all.
We really appreciate you tuning into this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.